I think I lost my way. I know you're there behind the mirror, but the cracks, they begin to show. I've got a secret I can't tell you. I just wanna be alone. I didn't know how much I needed, but I got to give it somehow. Waking up to nothing. When you know you're out of there. Waking up to nothing. I wanna do it again. I'm so happy when I'm with you, but I hate it just the same. I know the walls, they have no meaning, but I swear they are all I need. Waking up to nothing. When you know you're out of there. I wanna lay low without you home. I've got everything I need. When you know you're nothing I need.
Welcome everybody. It's round 2 of the Hunter Stall Racing IMSA Series 5. We're racing at Watkins Glen. We're in qualifying, had a few technical difficulties getting going, but we're live now, qualifying in the GT3 category. I'm joined today by Niels Ullman. First time this season he's joining me. Previously raced in the IMSA Series, of course, last season and the season before, so great to get some of that driver experience in the commentary booth.
Thank you, George. Just like to point out, this is race 3 of the season, isn't it? Had before tomorrow last week. And of course, Fuji. Always an incredible race at Fuji. Watkins can provide some of the same action for me, at least. It's not a track that I'm super comfortable with. One of those that I really struggle, especially in the GT3 cars. I remember 2 seasons ago, season 3 of the IMSA race we did, driving around in it was a really funny race. Didn't really go to plan, but the last round was something like fuel saving lots of the corners, but I think I made it around in P4. Some names that popped to mind as well. Of course, Amy Grime, driving and plus P3 if I'm not mistaken too much. Then Senya, former 2-time champion in the AM class, now driving the pro class, also a fast driver that might be able to pull some strings today. We'll have to see that. And then of course all of the GTP drivers don't have too much experience with the high downforce cars in this track, but I can imagine that's quite a lot of fun. Not as much of a struggle as some of the GT cars, but if I'm not mistaken, once again, we might have a little rain towards the end of the session.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of forecast going forwards. I don't know if you're in a session, if you can pull up the radar. Currently not an overlay great for the radar yet, so hopefully have that soon. But looking forward to the battle in GT3 today. You can see from the timing tower just how close that battle is at the moment. A bit of a focus so far this season has been on the the front back in hypercar, because we finally got some competition in GTP Pro, with Mateus bringing along some of his DLR teammates and then really bringing a challenge to him, which is always great to see that he's willing to bring that competition along. But really excited about the GT3 battle today. GT3's really good cars for racing around here. There's a lot of undulation, a couple of banked corners, and some really good overtaking opportunities. You've got this big long straight that we're going down right now. We're going to go on board with, I believe this is Casper Umelen in P3 at the moment. You can see very close to the car in front, and only 3/10, 2.5 even, off Stefan Vestra in pole position at the moment. So that's a really good effort from him so far. We're going to go on board. It's going down towards the famous bus stop chicane, probably the best overtaking opportunity. Turn it in as much curve as you can, brush against the wall almost. You can see how much curve he's taking, you can see how it's affecting the balance of the car, working the steering wheel there through Big Bend, as some of us call it, and taking all of the track there. You can see even touching the grass, taking full advantage. Drop down to P4 with a great lap from Ferran to go only 4/10 off of pole position. But this is looking really good on board so far with Casper. We'll see how the lap evolves as he goes round through what is a really difficult corner, really hard to know where to pick up the throttle. I'm sure they can attest to that, but there's a few different lines you can take. Now running into the sort of final section of this lap. This corner, you can always carry more speed than you think. You can see staying in third gear for what actually looks like a tight corner. These are all the run-off as the NASCAR guys have all taught us over the years. This, I'd say, the most challenging corner on the track. It's really off-camber, it's really difficult on the braking zone. Even in an ABS car, it's difficult to get your braking correct. A really nice high-speed corner here. Take a lot of curb on the exit because you won't get an off-track for that, so your light won't be invalidated. Cut through what is a pit-in line. We won't be enforcing that today because iRacing doesn't enforce it in its rules. He's got a purple sector. He's come across the line now. Can he move up from P5? He does. Up to P4. Not a big improvement in terms of track position, but over a 10th on that lap compared to his previous lap, so that's great to see.
Yeah, Stefan is getting a little challenge up ahead. Now doesn't have the 2.5 second gap, or 0.2.5 second gap that he had before. Ferran running 44 hundredths of a second now behind him, so it's starting to get a bit more interesting here. But Casper, the lap you just saw with him, just shows how much commitment you have to take for every single corner. It's incredibly difficult. Some of these corners, it's a combination of turning in at the right time, picking up the throttle, sometimes a bit earlier than you might want to see it in the screen here. Just so much runoff, so you don't have to take it at the apex. You can actually take it a little before because you have so much runoff that doesn't give you a penalty. Was a bit worse with turn 1 back in the days where you could just disregard the exit curb completely.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just an insanely difficult track to get right.
Yeah, iRacing increased the strictness of the track limits in the most recent release of this track, only about a year old, this scan, so nice to have that good up-to-date scan, especially on what is probably one of the most popular tracks on iRacing. Great in all classes, but like you say, those track limits have really increased the challenge of particularly turn 1. You kind of used to be able to go off really wide, and even if it wasn't the ideal line, not lose much time, and didn't really get penalised for it as long as you got back on the track quickly enough, whereas now really easy to pick up an off track because you want to take full advantage of that bit of road there.
It's taking too much to the track limit as is at the exit of the curve, and the curve is pretty wide for curve standards. You can see it in the picture. Okay, we just skipped away from it, but most drivers take it really wide. And not only the track limits here, it's also just the walls that are pretty close to the wall compared to the track. Sorry, compared to what kind of racetrack it really is. Talked about it in the bus stop on the first entry to the right. You go in, and it's such a fine line between hitting the wall and damaging the car, and then just getting the bus stop completely right. See the cars here exiting the final corner completely up against the wall.
Daniel Morby crosses the line.
Racing.
A couple of good sectors and jumps up to P5. Look at that. Yeah, I see what you mean with the walls as well, particularly in the bus stop. It's kind of the nature of this track. If you just looked at the layout, you'd expect it to be a sort of a grade 1 FIA circuit with lots of big runoff, but no, it's a a proper American racing circuit with barriers about 2 inches from where you're placing your car in most corners.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also where the commitment part comes into. You have, this corner as well. Actually, most of the corners where it seems like you have a pretty wide area to go off in the Big Bend. Is another example in the corner out the Big Bend. Goes a little downhill. You pick up the throttle, trying to get as much speed through the corner as possibly, but sometimes you just inevitably end up in the wall. Primarily because you pick up a bit too much speed, go in the grass, and the grass just sucks you out. And that's what makes this track difficult, and that's why most people love this track. It is really technical in that aspect. But half a minute left of qualifying. Gonna be difficult for most people to challenge Stefan's time. On 143.851. Casper got pretty close to that. 31 hundredths of a second behind. Just edging out Farron and Mattia, doing an exact replica of Farron's time. Incredible racing. And if we look down, the top 10 is within half a second, roughly. And great qualifying. I'm really looking forward to the race with these kind of results. But Casper isn't in the pitch yet. He is. Who is? I can't see who's the last one that's on track. Comes to the final corner. Is he going to be able to set a time?
No, so that's checkered flag for GT3.
Yep.
Pulled over into the pit lane. Gonna get so it's an interesting grid, but you can see there P3 and P4 identical lap times. 400 off pole position, and Casper only 300ths off pole position. So we're going to get a really good battle, particularly in the top end. There's a couple of drivers towards the low end that Race Control will have to look at for 105%. I believe everyone that's set a time will be within it. It will just be Costa, who we can't see on the leaderboard, and Jessica Perry down there in what is 25th place, and that will be a call from our race director Andy Tatman as to whether those cars will be allowed to take the start. We can see then the classic cue that we get at the end of pit lane, and it's green flag. The call has been given by Race Control, and we're going to get some laps in. Robin here in the AM class, but it's been really quick all season. Was one of the main drivers that was able to challenge Sebastian van der Heuvel in last season's championship. A break season for him this time round. We expect to see him back in the future. He has been joining the stewards a couple of times this season to help out as well. So appreciate all the help that we get from all of our volunteers here at Andstall Racing, including you, Ule. We won't forget, don't worry. But Robin, I think you'll agree with this. Last season was pretty quick in the AM class and was definitely one of the leaders out there, and he's showing that domination again this season and that determination to keep putting in the good results, because ultimately that's how you win the championship. A consistent run of podiums, even if they're not wins, is what's going to get you there.
Yeah, exactly. As you say, I did a few races in the AM class of the GTP last season, and it's a really incredibly tight fill up towards where the front end is. Robin in there in the mix, Sebastian managing to win in the Schengstrup car, of course, as we end up seeing. And it's, as you say, it's the consistency. You can have a few good races and you can have a good race, but if you crash out in the final lap, then it's all over and you can go from hero to zero.
It's exactly what we saw with
second.
Exactly what we saw with Matisse at the first round of the season, didn't we? Leading essentially the entire race after a little bit of a battle with his teammates, but led the majority of the race and crashed out on the last lap, trying to go for what looked like a pretty quick lap. So he's really sending it through one of the tight corners at where were we? Not Suzuka, the other one that I can't remember the name of. Fuji. We're at Fuji Speedway for round one, and he put it in the wall on the last lap and lost a load of points, and that's why he's really got an uphill battle from now on to catch up to his teammates who did score, even though it wasn't a win. So a drop round, of course, it will help him, but he's already essentially used his drop round on that result. So we've got on board with Robin here, 2 green sectors so far. That doesn't really mean much when everyone's set a lap time. Panto Avale has the purple sector in sector 2, but we'll see how the cars fall when they come across a line. Looks like Robin's maybe taking this a little bit slow, weaving to get a bit of temperature into the tyres, it seems. So maybe GTPs, we know these guys struggle with the cold tyres. Maybe they need a couple of laps to get up to temperature in qualifying. I don't know what your feeling was of the car last evening, though.
Yeah, it's quite a common tactic what Robin is doing. Yeah, of course there's his outlap where he's warming up the tires, and normally in something like a GT3 or maybe an LMP2 you just be on it the second lap around. Just go full out from that. Maybe have 1, 2, perhaps even 3 laps and then go into the pits again. But in these GTP tires, you just earn a lot of lap time if you do your out lap, then you do a warm-up lap, and then you go flat out, and then you usually end up seeing two laps here from Robin and some of the other GTP cars. So yeah, not uncommon what you're seeing from Robin, and there's a few guys behind him, but let's see. I think we're gonna see some nice lap times from now on. Matisse actually going out pretty early on 127.5.
Yeah, impressive first lap from both him and his teammate, P1 and P2 at the moment. So maybe they've got the car dialed in a little bit more to get the temperature in on that first lap. So let's see what others can do on the second lap. Danny Hugendorf a little bit further down the order there, but has a purple sector so far this lap. We'll see what he can do when he comes across the line.
But it is also, of course, a sacrifice of lap time. If you go out and do an up lap and then do a warm up lap, that's 3 minutes time wasted in a 15-minute qualifying session, and then you have 2 laps where you really have to be on it. And
yeah, 15 minutes. It can seem, yeah, it can seem like a long time as a spectator, but when you're actually in the car or spotting for a teammate, it's quite important to get that timing right. You've got to get an out lap, potentially a warm up lap, a hot lap, and then find somewhere to park the car and get it back to the pit lane, because you are allowed to active reset. We can see using all of the track there, Robin Duhamel through turn 1. That's the kind of track limits we were talking about. He will have been very close to the limit there. He has picked up 1 incident point in this session, so I wonder if that was that, but he's still going for the lap, so that's impressive to see. Erin Avia has a purple sector 1. It's not on the screen, but a good sector 1 from them. Coming through final few corners now. This is a section of a track where I think you'd expect the Acura to be pretty quick compared to... We've got a lot of Acuras and a lot of Porsches. This is a section I'd expect the Acura to be quick. Alex Ott goes to P1, dethroning Mateus so far this session, so maybe that warm-up lap and getting the car dialed in sort of slower has worked in his advantage. We'll see what Mateus can do this time round. It's not looking great so far. A couple of yellow sectors, so maybe this is a sort of out. Maybe he didn't out. Maybe he returned to pit lane. I'm not sure, but this could be sort of out lap for him, or a sort of intermediate lap between the stints. Danny Hugendorf up to P2. So the guys that are staying out there relay seem to be able to be pretty consistent with the times, and the tyres aren't dropping off too much.
Yeah, no, it's not really just tire wear that's the problem when you go out for these sessions. But I mean, as I say, it's the time that you spend out, and then if you want to risk having a few extra laps, of course you don't want to go out with too much fuel, but you can get an extra lap if you just use your out lap as your warm up lap. I think that's what we saw Matthias doing when he did the pole lap not too far off the current pole time. The 63 hundredths of a second. That should be not easy to find. It's never easy to find lap time around, but not completely.
It's a much more achievable amount than if he was half a second off, isn't it? So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him shoot back up to the top, or at least the front row before the end of the session.
But it's a 1x. That's the difference between a great lap and a wasted lap. And if you have that 2 times in a row, then you've just wasted 8 minutes almost. If you go for 4 laps of qualifying, and then sometimes you just have to say, okay, it doesn't work with this strategy, and then go for the out lap and go for the fastest lap. Perhaps try to just get a banker in. That's what I usually do, and then I'm not ruining my qualifying laps. But yeah, Alex Todd could be leading, but once again we see an incredibly tight field. P1 to P7 within 4/10, really tight. Yeah,
really weird to see Jean-Paul Seaman down in P5 as well.
Further behind, but still close there between P8 and P12. Yeah.
So Jean-Paul Seaman slightly quicker lap that time round, but still only P5 for the driver that was on the front row of the grid last race, so I'd expect to see him improve a little bit more. But Mateus not being on pole and Jean-Paul being a little bit further down suggests maybe the DLR cars don't quite have the pace that they've had at the previous race. On board now with Quinton Verdonk down in P11, but he's got green sectors all the way round so far this lap. Let's see what he can do in this final sector. Like we said before, a bit of a track where you maybe expect the Acura to be a little bit quicker, but he's carrying a lot of speed. Let's see how close he gets to the wall. Very close because he puts the camera inside it. Let's see what time he can do coming to the line. Where does that lap time put him? It's a pretty good lap time, I think. And it's not massive improvement, actually. He stays P11. That's disappointing for him. Varley just crossed the line as well. What can he do? Moves up to P5 with a good improvement from him.
But can we switch to Alex Odd? Is he driving an Acura? Or is he in a Porsche?
Acura.
Because I know it'd be funny to see, as you said, the Acura is really nice to drive in some of the twisty corners, and then you have the Porsche that's, I'd say it's quite similar. I haven't really driven it, so I have no idea how that is, but probably a bit faster on the straight, I could imagine. It's not really the top speed that the Acura has with it.
Yeah, we've got the car allocations on screen at the moment. Acura's all the way down to P10.
Yeah.
A couple of Porsches further down, and João Diaz in the Cadillac. Daniel Reinecke also in the Cadillac. The two lone Cadillacs in this field. No BMWs. Always interesting to see. We did have a couple of BMWs last season, but they were sort of the stragglers left. The Acura and the Porsche do seem to be coming through as the best cars to drive. The Cadillac, I think, struggling a bit more in the rain compared to the other cars, so there's work to do for anybody that drives an Acura. We saw that, I think, Sebring 12 Hour, a lot of drivers in the GTP, either in the Porsche or the Acura as well, because they seem to be able to handle the wet weather a little bit better. Mateus.
But huge respect to João Diaz. I think this is the third season he's running the Caddy, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not it's not because the Caddy is neither popular, especially fast car around any circuit really. I think at Le Mans it was ran, at least by some of the lower rating people, because it is fast on the straights, which we don't really have here at Watkins Glen. It's also the reason that the Acura is shining as much as it is. There's a lot of twisty corners or corners where you want that front end to grip.
A lot of high downforce corners where you really need that. See, Mateus has gone to pole position
exactly.
in the Acura as well.
Big bend as we see here. You just see how far out we get, really close to the wall. Of course, within the track limits as well. And there we get a little bit closer to the wall.
Flashing his headlights at what I believe was his teammate, so maybe not quite happy with the way he felt he was held up by his teammate there. Although I don't think he'll be complaining about the tow he got on the previous lap. To stay on that, 3 minutes to go. Can anybody improve? We come on board and we hear a little bit of glancing against the fence. So Eloy Cabinero taking full track limits. You can see there running all the way outside as Patrick Zabassi goes up to P9 of a 1:28.0. So like you say, 0.6 of a second covering the top 9. Less than a second covering the top 12. Always great to see. Acura, clearly the car to be in this season then.
Yeah, and it was last season as well. It's just a phenomenal car to have around, and it is a pleasure, especially coming from the Cadillac. It wants to turn. There's not much more to it.
It's always interesting to see two cars in the same class that produce a relatively similar lap time, but obviously a very, very different drive, and it can make switching across between the two cars a little bit difficult. Oh, car off in the background.
Oh yeah, someone crashed in the final corner there. Looked like a solo incident.
Davey van der Backer, one of the DLR cars.
What?
A blocking incident just been put under investigation by race control, and that's a 2-minute warning for GTP. Checkered flag message coming out from race control as well. So that's just to let all the drivers know that there's only 2 minutes remaining. Official announcement. GT3 gets it as well, obviously, with the checkered flag being issued by race control and not the game in GT3. Oh, tagged the wall a little bit there, so much that the sim actually thought he hit it. Took the front bumper off, but this is sort of a very fierce lap again from Eloy this time, not taking as much of the exit of Big Bend as he was before, but keeping it nice and tight through here. Doesn't use too much of the exit curve there, but that's not a massive concern. See what he can do coming through the boot. A little bit of a sprint down here, and then you get, like we said before, this quite high-speed corner compared to what it looks like. Do a little bit of banking and then a lot of runoff to use. Means you can open it up a bit more. There's a slow car in front, but he gets out of the way nicely. Race control issuing a correction there for the message, but that's cleared now. I'm sure that will be fine. That will be investigated now. That could result in a pit lane start or potentially a penalty for next race, as qualifying is often the penalties they go with. Run down to the line. What can Eloy do? It's green sectors most of the way. Yellow in the final sector. He's currently P5. Can he move up? He cannot. Does not improve his lap time. Very, very close to improving.
Oh, it's very unfortunate. It looked like he had a little twitch there in the penultimate corner, didn't he? And that's sometimes what can do it, and you just know can have a really nice lap, but if you ruin it towards the end, then it's down the bin. Daniel managed to set a lap time towards the end. It's not the best lap time, but still better than nothing. Should be able to make it within 105%.
Yeah,
2.7. Yeah,
he should be, even if not race control.
I'm not too sure where the line is, but it's right about there.
Checkered flag for GTP, so anybody on a run to the line, this will be the last time round. Daniel Renecki does improve, stays P19, but a much better lap time, no concerns for him. Albert Preem goes up to P5, what a lap time, only 1,000th off of P4. Danny Hugendorn improves though to match the lap time, at least to the 1,000th of Balaz, but moves ahead of him, so there will be a small discrepancy there that iRacing has managed to put him ahead, even though he set the lap time afterwards, probably measuring to 10,000ths of a second rather than thousandths of a second, even if they're only showing us thousandths.
Yeah, Matthias didn't manage to improve his final lap there, but most of the people that should be able to put better lap times in are in the pits. Of course, we still have I can't pronounce that name. I'm sorry, terribly sorry. But first two sectors yellow, third sector yellow. Doesn't look too promising. If you want to move up, it is a tight field. 600th away from P1 and 3 first sectors that are faster than his previous ones. It's not gonna help him too much. Then the green sector, so depending a little bit on how fast.
Message from race control.
The first 3 are, and the last one is.
Message from race control.
Yeah, so everybody's within 105% lovely. Daniel also managed to pull a lot of time off.
Balaz goes up to P3. There we go. Improves again.
It does.
Race control clarifying.
So it wasn't as bad as shown, but not enough for pole. I think he's still going to be happy with his P3.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that. Top 5 cars all within 700ths of each other is absolutely incredible. I think we're in for a mega race again. Nobody's going to pull away and get out of the tow, are they?
2/10. Yeah, insane driving by everyone, really. It's
reverse
it's really
fortunes for the Jean-Paul Seaman on pole, I believe, last week, or P2 at the worst, and down in P8 at the moment, while his teammate is on pole position. So he'll need to do a little bit of moving on up during the race, but maybe he's prioritised his race pace a little more this week.
Yeah, and now the question really is this race going to be one on pure pace, or are we going to have some tactics that are going to play in and make the difference here? We have seen before people that go on a one-stopper and they somehow manage to make it work towards the end of the race and then not winning by 10 seconds, even though that they're significantly slow on the final couple of laps. But those seconds that you save in the pit is gold if you can make it stick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throughout the entire race.
I think we'll see.
Right. There's a car around. As
I think I've seen that at Watkins Glen before as well. I remember a race at Red Bull Ring Season 2, I believe, where someone, I don't remember the name of, managed to pull that off, and it was that was spectacular. It really is spectacular. Always is.
Yeah,
someone can win a race.
I remember that
on,
race,
on
GT3.
post-safety.
We all thought the leader was going to have to pit on the last lap in race control.
Yeah.
We were watching baffled. He was sort of clutching to the line, and there was so much lifting and coasting on the final lap, and it was absolutely incredible because the amount of time he saved by not coming into the pit lane on some tracks is it can make that much difference that it's worth losing, half a minute of lap time on track.
Yeah, it is, and but it was not just from the leader as well. That was the most amazing thing. Managed to stick around P1 or P3 or whoever it was for most of the race, just saving a lot of fuel doing that, and that's how he managed to pull it off. So it's not necessarily an easy win just because you're P1. Of course, he has Alex Odd 1300ths of a second behind him. It's incredibly close. It only seems a bit far away because we see the numbers there. In reality, it's what is that? It's I think it's a
side by side. You're not going to see it all. It's not even a meter. I don't think it's incredibly close. Too close.
Yeah, a little bit of a spin here at the bus stop into the wall. Always nice to make the mistakes in qualifying and not making them on the first lap or final lap for that matter.
Exactly, that's what warm-ups for.
Yep.
You can go out, you can do whatever you want to in warm-up to try maybe something you didn't have time for in practice. Well, not really going to get any meaningful running in terms of lap time here, but it does mean we can get on track.
But you get to do the overtakes on GT3s if you're on a GTP that you wouldn't normally go for, and then there's perhaps a GT3 would scream at you in practice, but then you know that the move is either go or no go. Of course, depending on how you make it work. It's also why we see here a lot of cars closing in, another one in the wall. Just finding the lines, some decent GTPs having contact. Just as I mentioned, it's not always the cleanest session, these warm-up sessions, but always nice to be a part of.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see as well. I think we sometimes get hypercut because everybody's in the session, and it's maybe the the only time since the very, very end of practice when perhaps everybody's out on track, and it's maybe your best traffic practice that you're going to get. And it's always interesting, I think, as a GT3 to see what a GTP is going to try and do in the braking zone. And it's always interesting as a GTP to see what the GT3 is going to do when he sees you coming and judge how far back you actually need to be to make a lot of these moves.
Yeah, and it's difficult in some of these faster corners where you can't just go for the dive bomb and hope for the GT3 to stay out. There's some pretty fast corners on this track, so not a lot of overtaking moves in that regard, but of course still a relatively fast track. And when you have as much downforce as you have in the GTPs, then you should be able to go around the outside of some of these GT3 cars. If you can't, you should probably switch cars, but that's a completely different story. Another story, I once won warm-up.
Once one warm-up? Is that a highlight of your ASR time?
That's a peak of my ASR career.
No, I think it's actually interesting to go out there and show that you can set that lap time straight away. Sort of a last-minute reminder to everybody else. See Eloy going out there and setting was actually a relatively quick lap in GTP Pro, and I think that goes out there and shows, even on race pace, I'm pretty quick. You've got the car in full fuel in warm-up, you'd expect. You're on the race setup.
Yeah, exactly. But warm-up is done. We just have to wait for all of the cars to line up here. Of course, we have our lovely pace car at the front. But yeah, let's run it down. It's Matthias, pole position once again, followed by Alex. Then it's Twachi, P3, Danny P4, Preem P5, Carbonero P6, Ovale P7, Steeman P8. All of course still relatively close to each other. P3, Colosso Well, yeah, it's a little mess with the standings up.
Well, we know who's on pole.
Yeah.
We know what's going to
We know
happen.
who's on pole, yeah.
We'll go to the
And
race
it's
standings.
never the start that's important. It's what's going to happen in about an hour. That really matters.
Absolutely. And you can see on screen the pole sitters in each class, but remember, only the pro pole sitter dictates when the class goes. So Davy van der Wacker will get the points for pole position, or maybe Aaron Avina. Not quite sure because that's switching between them. I believe Davy van der Wacker is on pole in GTP AM, so he'll get the points for pole position, as will the pole sitter in GT3 AM, but won't get to lead the field away. So always interesting when you're in that position. You're actually at the sort of, you're being controlled by the pro cars. Even if you're around them, you get no control over when your class goes, so you've got to make sure you're paying attention to the cars in front. It's not up to you. We've got that gap being left between the classes, as race control always dictate. I'm gonna watch the start here. When will Mateus go? That's going to be what matters here.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag is called
That's
by...
a short start.
There we go. Jumps the start very well.
Yeah, seems like P3 is still as it is. P4 coming up there. On the inside is Hookman. Ooh, and it's a bit of a spin.
A lot of tyre smoke in the
Down
background.
the grid, all the way down to P9. Didn't quite see what happened. P3, top 3, so as it stays relatively close to see if anybody's going to move into the bus stop. It seems like a lot of people are too wide.
And the packed field, GT3 gone now. Loads of cars into turn 1, 3 wide, 4 wide, even at certain places. Everybody gets through, at least at the front of the pack, nicely. We're going to see what happens further back. So many Porsches, look at all of them. Porsches and Audi seems to be the entire field in GT3 at the moment. A couple of BMWs dotted in amongst them. Great racing so far, very little contact. Not seen anything flagged under investigation by race control yet. We'll know if there is. The drivers can come on the radio and report anything like that, so that race control can take a look. Andy in there today on his own, obviously me moving to broadcasting this season, but I think there will be a bit of support for him hopefully later in the session, and there definitely will be at other races. A busy week, bit of difficult staffing situation around Anstal Racing this season, so if anybody does want to get involved, we are volunteer based, but it is great to be a part of, and it's really nice to provide this quality of racing at an entry level that provides a GTP and GT3 AM and Pro field for anybody to take part. See a bit of flashing lights. Lap 1 called a race incident between two of the cars, so race control feel nothing really to look at there. That's Albert Preem being shoved off there by his fellow racers. Not quite sure what happened there. He won't be very pleased with that. Jean-Paul Siemens crashed. Not seen that. We'll go and watch that now. Coming into the final corner.
Final corner here, down towards the straight. Not really having anyone to fight with. It seems like pretty much on its own. Goes into turn 1. Ooh, yeah, okay, just uses the rear end. And that's the difficult thing with these GTP cars. Brake a bit too much, and then the rear just goes on you. And that's what we said. It's there is pretty far out to the walls, but when you're doing 200-300 kilometers per hour, then, it doesn't take much time.
Looks like, did he maybe catch the grass? We'll see from this angle. No, just lost the rear on entry.
Yeah.
Really unlucky to tag the wall there, but it looks like he's come
Rotates
away.
a bit too much around the front.
Yeah, relatively unscathed on the front from that angle at least. So he's just got to try and do his best to catch up now. But now the last running pro car and behind quite a lot of AM cars, which is not what he'll want.
Of course, unfortunate, but nice save there from T-Man. Could have ended up in significantly more tears than it did there. So a bit of sprinting here on the top 3. 7th from Alex up to Matthijs and to Raju as well. Just about 8th, 7th, 8th. Then they should be within slipstream of each other. So question is if they are just happy sitting where they are, and if they're going for this pit stop strategy that we were talking about, just trying to minimize the fuel consumption and then try and gain a little bit during the pit stops, because if you're able to go an extra lap, then that's just fuel to put in your car, and that's that time gain.
It's something that we've seen Mateus do in the past. He's happily sat in P2 for quite a big chunk of the race because you use so much less fuel when you're in that slipstream. You can lift off really early into the corners, pick up the throttle a little bit slower, and actually you don't lose the time because you gain from the toe. We're watching, sorry, not on board, but we're watching Casper Ummerlin chasing Stefan Vestra for the lead. Will he go for the lead? He did the faster of the 2 lap times last time around. It wasn't the fastest in class. That was set by Cohen down in P9, but it was quicker than the driver in P1 by nearly a tenth of a second. He's closed that gap, only 2.5 seconds. You can see the time coming down as they go up the hill and down towards the bus stop. This is potentially one of the best places to make an overtake, but also a really risky spot. It's impossible essentially to go too wide through this corner, so he stays behind and he's going to try and bide his time. But it looks to me like, I don't know about you, Leah, but it looks to me as if he wants to get past.
Yeah, of course, looking at it, it's not an easy move to go into the bus stop if you're not side by side. You see how close they are right behind them. Hector just trying to breathe down, gapping them a little bit, but that's just the thing is, if you don't go for an overtake and don't make a stick, then it's lap time loss, and then you invite somebody else to make a move on you, because when you go for an overtaking opportunity, try to do it, you are out of position, and then somebody else might end up overtaking you. So I think he's just saying to Stefan Vestra right now that he should be pushing. He's not going to overtake him right now. I think in about 3-4 laps across, depending on how much they're going to be able to get the cars behind, we might see a little bit more fighting. But as it stands right now, look pretty happy to just stay behind in P2.
Move for the podium in GTP AM. David van der Vacker currently P2, but this is Hector Colazo trying to go around the outside, and that's a pro car, the red 1111. That is, sorry, 1-1. That is the pro car of Danny Hugendorn, caught in between these two AMs battling, so it doesn't quite have the pace right now. Essentially, he's stuck behind two AMs, and one of them's just overtaken him. So, great little fight here we've got going on. We nearly saw a move for position. Can he get that move done potentially into the bus stop would be his best bet.
Yeah, I almost saw what I was talking about, the Hector go for a move on Danny. And Danny almost making it past Hector because he's out of position, but yeah, very nice feeling being stuck behind the M cars. You don't have anything to do with each other, so really the M car should be letting the pro car go, but he is so close to the other one that it's not easy to do. It is still lap time loss if you make someone go past. Looks like really close.
Trying to make a move there, using the traffic to the best of his advantage. All of the cars now, I can show you the track map quickly. All of the cars bunched around one bit of the track, and that is all of the GTPs and all of the GT3s. So, really, really interesting. This is a really strategic bit of the race. You've got to use the entirety of the track, even if it's bits you wouldn't normally go on, to try and make your way around your rivals. You can see some of the gaps growing, some of the gaps closing right up. You can see everything in red under half a second, and loads of cars sort of being forced into that window because they're being caught up in traffic. And you wouldn't believe it, but the GTP traffic can affect the GT3 battle quite a lot. We've got a couple of incidents being put under investigation by race control. We'll go and watch them once we've seen all of this traffic passing.
Yeah, this is a completely different aspect to all of this racing. You can do all the fast times you want to, but if you're not able to pass the GT3 car at the right time at the right way, you can easily lose 1, 2, 3 seconds. You catch the GT3 car through the bus stop. You just kind of the GT3 is so much slower. And I think we'll see not only for the GTP cars, but as you said, the GT3 cars, they can okay, flat time if they are smart with the GTP track. Just that's incredible. He's going to be able to make that out of life. Couldn't even see that was just a little bit of an Acura.
Let's see if we can find that for you.
It's in the right way anymore. It's in the front there. That's a different problem. Is it for Dunk?
No, that can't be
He's
the
coming out
correct
of the
incident.
pits. That's a bit early for him.
Yeah, this is one of the crashes that we've had during this multi-class
So I think this is the
moment on
first one we
track.
saw, right?
Oh, tag the back of a GT3.
Oh,
That'll be
and
killing
it's
it.
having a little difficulty trying to figure out what happened to the GT3 because of course he comes across the track, but does he? Yeah, let's see. We get it here again.
Tagged already there by one
Yeah.
car in front.
I have a little battle there.
That gap doesn't really exist, I don't think.
No. Really difficult call to make.
Race
And
control.
that's why
Will,
the Merc lost the front.
race control will look at a lot of different angles. Got a few more
Yeah.
crashes. Let's go through them.
Well, that's it for Michael Ross. See his right side completely demolished. No suspension left anymore.
Tagged the wall on the entry there,
Another
Avale.
replay here. Avale.
Been black flagged as well,
Coming
Avale,
through.
for causing an incident. I assume that'll. Whoa! Big crash.
Yeah.
Not sure what the black flag was for. Try and find out
Loses it
from
to,
race control.
Big Bend. Would you say a black flag?
Been given a black flag. I'm not sure what it's for. I wonder if it's for this incident. This looks to be a different one, I believe.
Another replay here. Coming through.
It's the same incident. isn't it?
Gustav.
Oh no, that's a different one.
Yeah, slide. Lovely catch. Goes across the track there.
Did catch car on the exits. Race
Yeah.
control, I believe, are looking at that.
Nicely done. Avoids everybody else coming through.
It will look at it.
It's O'Reilly once again. Yeah, I can see if he's had a lot of spins and quickly gonna accumulate.
Oh, car in front went
This
off,
is
I
the same
believe.
one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure who that was.
Or is it a different one? Looks
think that's the same one, same one indeed.
Yeah, okay, it's an unsafe car, unsafe region. It's
The
to the Porsche.
crash for Jean-Paul Seaman.
To avoid last second. Never a nice feeling, especially not when you have someone on the outside of you.
Is Seaman going off again in turn one? I think that's the same incident.
Oh,
Just
Seaman, yeah. It's almost a replica of his incident the other time around. Once again, a lovely catch here. Just kissing the barriers on the exit.
was
It's
Carlos
really
Ponce.
easy to lose a bit more body weight when he does
Carlos Ponce earlier on in the race. It's been on the exit there. Like I said in qualifying, such a difficult corner. It's really hard to know where to pick up the throttle. So it looks
a bit
like it's-
of a touch on the rear, isn't it? From the Porsche coming around the outside, looked like he touched him, and then of course when you're driving on the edge of the car, it's easy to make it spin around.
gearbox cam with Carlos Ponce and
Yeah.
see if he gets tagged from behind. Perhaps a little bit of
It's
contact
a little
earlier on in the
difficult to
corner,
tell.
but lost on throttle it looks like.
Could very well be just like any other corner on the circuit. It's difficult and not a corner you want to go too fast on throttling. Looks like we're back live again, running here with Robin Duhamel, going to P8 in the M class. No, not in the M class. Is he?
Yeah, he is in. Drops down a little bit. I think
yeah,
he's had.
Yeah, sorry.
I think he's had an incident. See if we can find that on the replay.
13 seconds ago, behind the next car. Yeah, a bit of a bummer here for Robin. He's not a slow driver. He's proven before that he is a real competitor, especially in the young class.
A bit of contact and it's throwing some traffic for Hector. It's really tightly there. There's no way this ends well with the GT3s on the inside. No, it doesn't. Goes
Yeah,
into the
no.
back of his rival. Finds a nice little gap,
that
but
was
takes
close.
the rear wing of a Porsche with him.
Almost making it through the little gap there. But
Nice.
Hector just being a little too eager to get past. I think it was Danny that was right in front of him. Because we saw before the two M class and a Pro. I think it's a Pro we have here in the middle. Yeah. Doesn't break in time, and then it's a front tip. Perhaps a bit too hard on the brakes, and then you just need some
What happened to Robin?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh,
Lucky catch.
what
But
a save.
That was really
What a
close.
save. That was really well done.
really close.
Had another 4x a lap earlier. Let's take a look at that one as well. Is this where he lost for time?
Yeah.
He just tags the back of the other car in the final corner. I have to say,
Looks like a little bit of a pit check almost.
flashing his lights, race control.
What the GTP is stopped on the apex.
Race control will
Isn't too happy
definitely
with that.
taking a look at that one, yeah.
Yeah. Completely understandable reaction with the flashing lights. Yeah. Not the most fortunate of races for the Dakar racing team driver.
Apologies there. Looks like I lost connection to iRacing. 10-second time penalty given there to the 105 for causing a collision. Leave.
Yeah, rough. We witnessed that not too long ago.
What's happened to Mateus? He's just got a meatball flag. Oh no!
Oh no. Yeah, and that explains the frontless Porsche that we see.
What on earth happened there?
Yeah,
Let's see.
nothing to do for Matthias there.
I believe this is the incident that
It's a Porsche.
this is the incident that predated that and lost connection again. 1 second, everybody.
Yeah, looking up, just touches the nose, and then yeah, I'm a little unsure if he of course tries to rejoin and get out of the racing line. Actually, I'd say in a way that's of course fair to do, but you don't do it when you have a car that close to you. And Matthias, seeing probably that he has a yellow flag up ahead, tries to go for the inside, and then he has a Porsche that's coming his way.
Gets to the back of the Merc, and then
Normal reaction
tries to get out of the way of his
Just kills
teammate.
Matthias.
Gets in the way of Matthias. Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Race control
That's-
will definitely be taking a look at that, but I don't think there was really much anybody could have done in that situation. He was in the middle of the track, not the best place to be.
I think,
was just trying to get out of the way of the car that you could see.
He goes on the throttle a little too early. Could very well be a penalty for him. I've seen penalties for a lot less. But Matthias is most definitely going to be protesting that one if he doesn't end up.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Matthias because we're sort of.
Penalty. Someone black flag there.
That's car number 67.
67 car. Ooh. Yeah,
Green.
close racing that we see here from the Acura car.
67 is Andy Cream, who does not appear to be on track anymore.
No.
That's a GTP, so not quite sure what that penalty was given for.
Could be another one that's just having a race, spinning a little too much, struggling with the GT3 traffic. It is a difficult track to have traffic on. See how close it is, especially after, pretty much from after the bus stop and then all the way up to the start-finish line. It's high-speed corners, it's brave corners, you can't really give space because you have no space to get away. You need that space to make the cars stay in the black stuff. And then sometimes racing incidents just happen, and sometimes there's someone to blame, and sometimes it's just is what it is. And you just end up smacking your wheel and screaming at the screen. But of course Matthias is out of the race, so there's going to be a little bit of a switch here in the GTP Pro class. It is Subachi, I think it might be pronounced, up into P1, putting a nice gap here on Alex from P2 position, so from P3 to P1 in 18 minutes, that's not too shabby, if I say so myself. Might actually see some pit stop not too far from now. Another black flag we get noted here from the race control. I'm not sure if we've seen that
103.
one.
See if we can work out who that is.
A second loss there from
That's for
Tsubashi.
Bart. So that black flag will be for the potentially unsafe rejoin failing to hold his brakes.
Yeah. So we're just going through with the test.
Yeah. No, Matthias, 1 lap down on the leaders, but he's back out on track, I believe, now. So has done his fast repair in the league, exactly for the reason we've just seen. You only get one, so you have to use it carefully. We've seen people use it in the wrong instance before to fix what would have been about 5 seconds worth of damage and then being a big crash later on. So not to be taken for granted. It does enable a bit better racing, we always feel like. So it's great to see that getting Matthias back into the race as much as he can. 1 lap down, but he's done a pit stop now, remember. So he has fueled up, which a lot of the other guys won't have done. They'll be coming in for their pit stop shortly, you would imagine, about a third race distance. So that's a driver mute for car 39. You're not allowed to use the radio unnecessarily. So race control trying to tighten up on that to avoid any miscommunication between drivers and making sure those channels are kept clear for race control. But Matthias back out on track then in a fully repaired Acura. Now he's just got to try and catch up to the cars in front.
Yeah, there's not much else for him to do than try to go as flat out as possible. Everything can happen. There's 40 minutes of racing left, plus minus a lap. So plenty of things still to happen. It's not over yet. Of course, there's a big range of points to be picked up. So even though he may not get the full 58 points, realize of that if he got the position in the race run. Still a lot of points that he can use later on. It is race 3. It is points that he might be able to throw it later on if he ends up having 5 other great races that doesn't end up in him in the wall or hitting another GT3 for that matter.
Car 21 black flag, but that's on pit lane entry.
P7, so there's a lot of points.
Yeah, a lot of points on the board. Although saying he's in the pit lane. Sure. He's in the pit lane. He's got another meatball.
He's got another crash.
What happened there?
And that's it for Matthias. Not much for him to do with a front and rear that's looking like that.
See what happened.
Never easy to run without a wing. Quite difficult to run without a front left tire.
Absolutely.
He's of course having to push at this point. There's nothing else for him to do. Comes up to some GT3s, goes from the inside into the bus stop.
Dragging the wall on the way in, I imagine. Oh, losing it on the curb.
Yeah. And that's that's it.
The Avale go off behind as well. Not sure if that was in reaction. Go on board and was watching him in his cockpit.
Avoid Matthias going off. Try and see if you see Matthias there in front. He's gonna have to come up to the same GT3 traffic that Matthias just
caught the curb in the same way, it looks like.
It's just a replica of Matthias' error, and then because he's going a bit slower, trying to not hit the rear of that GT3 car, he's able to catch it a bit nicer than Matthias'. Really unfortunate race for Matthias here today, but yeah, he did what he was supposed to. Go flat out, try to see if he could gain some points that was still not for grabs for him, but unfortunately he ends up in the wall, and that's a shame. Never something you're happy about as a driver. Doesn't matter what category you drive in. But that's what we said during qualifying. It's not about the pace. It's not about the consistency to a matter, but one corner and you're out. And of course you have your fast repair, but then it's another corner and you have no points. Could have been, if he was a bit lucky, 280 points, I would say. Still a decent amount of points, but now he has a 0-point race, and we'll have to make up for it. But Matthias is a driver that should be able to make up for these kind of races.
It's just really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate for him. That's 2 rounds where he won't score now, so can't afford much more of this.
Well, then it's
got to win everything, which we've seen him do before. He absolutely can win everything. We all know that. So it's not beyond him, let's say.
Oh, there's a reason he's riding the GTP Pro Championship before. He's not a slow driver by any means. Just unfortunately. Nice football racing here with the GTPs coming through the GT3 traffic once again. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more spread out the second time around. We won't have the same train of GTP and GT3 cars as we had in the beginning, but still a lot of traffic you'd have to deal with. And as further into the race we get, the more spread we get on the cars as well, and the more traffic you'll have from every lap on. So really important for every single car on track actually to corroborate and try and make everything as clean as possible. If that means you lift a little sooner than you otherwise would, or if you go off track, as we see Daniel nicely done there, that's what you have to do to minimize the loss in that time.
Yeah, most of these guys, so pitting after about 25 minutes, it looks like it's going to be a 2-stop. A little bit far to make it on 1 stop. A lot of cars getting black flags. Most of these are on pit lane exit or pit lane entry, then not being given by race control. So worth noting there. And it is a difficult pit lane entry. It's really easy to speed into it if you're taking it the way you can in iRacing, where you go in quite late. Hugendorf, I believe that was just getting a penalty on pit entry there as well. Loads of black flags. Not sure what's happening here.
Yeah, you don't want to take too much speed. Yeah, well, neither into or out of the final corner, but you also want to be able to brake in time and not hit the wall that's separating the track and the pit lane.
Yeah, we saw several seasons ago the GT3 calendar that we used to run finish here, and we saw the championship, what would have been a championship runner-up, put it in the wall on pit lane entry on his last pit stop with 10 minutes to go in the race, and that actually made him drop down to P3 in the championship. So really difficult here. You can see Daniel Maggioni is coming into the pits this time round. There's another car gaining a lot of time on the entry there. Yeah. That's how much time you can gain, but that's the risk you take, the risk of getting that penalty on pit lane entry.
Yeah, but Daniel proving how you should be doing it was... Is that a little bit of a no pit limiter that I'm seeing there from the BMW? Shouldn't really be able to catch up in the pit lane. That wouldn't make sense. Of course, driving at the same speed. Ovale here with the replay has had a few spins already during this race. It's not his best one of the season. Not a slow driver either. But let's see what goes into wall. Is he able to save it now? Goes into the first wall. Loses the car completely, and then he goes into a second wall because he's completely sideways. Looks like, I was gonna say, looks like the steering was okay. It's just a rear wing that was flying off the car, ironically enough. But a reset to the pits, and I think that's race over for Ivana, unfortunately.
Crash here for Samir Shard as well. Let's see here, is it going to be on pit lane? Pit lane entry, no! That'll be under investigation by race control.
Brakes as well. Yeah, that's a 10-second penalty, I'll have to say. But that's another point on this pit entry, because you want to take as much speed through the final corner as you possibly can. But
be really
sometimes if you have a car that's close behind, they end up hitting you because they don't expect you to go into the pit lane that early. Had the same problem myself in a race at Red Bull Ring, where it's similar in a way where you have the final corner that you can just carry a lot of speed into, but it is really close when you have someone behind you, and you of course don't want any of you to hit. So yeah, really tricky. Samir unfortunately doesn't do what's required to not hit a GTP car on the way in. A little bit of racing following here.
Yes, really. It was talked about in the driver's briefing, the pit lane entry, and it was the car behind responsibility. Make sure they weren't going to get back to somebody, but obviously it's difficult to know when someone's pitting, and you can't be cautious everywhere.
Yeah, no, and especially now when you can't announce it over the radio, you're not really allowed to do that. Then you can talk about predictability and try to stay within the lines. There is some lines that goes in before the corner, before the corner starts, to of course indicate to other cars that hey, I'm going to be pitting, so I'll be driving pretty slow through this corner. But one thing is that it's not mandatory now, so you doesn't really go through that corner, so it's for GTP behind to prevent that someone is going into the pit lane. But enough about that incident. Two Porsches here coming into the bus stop. Might be able to see an overtake into it as we see. Yep, lovely racing here between Vasari and Oberbeek.
It is indeed.
So we mentioned to make the move into the bus stop. It doesn't always go as you plan it to do, but lucky move for P9. He is in the podcast. Yeah, it is in the podcast. So that's important. Even though we're pretty far down in the class, it's still important points you can use towards the end. Another race. It's Jarvis, Vesta, and then Cendric a little bit behind Vesta. Think probably should be thinking about going for a move into this corner, but not really close enough. Trying to set it up for the next corners here. Looking to actually misses Javix a little bit there. Centric into a race, and then suddenly he goes from attacking to defending, going through the penultimate corner, of course setting it up into the final corner. Lucky there with the GTP traffic that makes it possible before he has to do any braking, so he can just concentrate on his own lines. But now you see how much time he's lost to Vesta and how much time he also loses to Centric. That's actually going for a move up the inside into turn 1. A little risky there from what I was able to see. It was a little bit difficult following the rest of the car. But two cars really close to each other. Not much time separating these two. Actually, that's some sense. We might be able to see another move into the bus stop. They're really close. Haven't moved out, so it doesn't look like he will be making one right now.
Ignis, who's the leader in by 14 seconds. Trying to make a move on another pro car.
And that's probably why we're not seeing the aggression that you would otherwise see from pro classes. As I say, that goes a little bit of a dive to the left hand.
It's really interesting because this fight is absolutely not with any of the pro cars, but he doesn't want to get held up and lose time to the AM drivers that he's fighting. You know, a lot of these AM guys are very, very quick. He's got quite a big lead at the moment, but we saw this last race, he was really, really quick compared to a lot of the other AMs, but had quite a few incidents in the race, some of which were his fault, some of which were other people's fault. Race control dealt with them all as appropriate, of course, but it was really interesting to see massive pace. Sometimes we see this in our racing, people that are really quick but maybe don't have all of the racecraft. It's really nice to see him being able to develop these skills. Just a couple of incidents recently that we've flicked through. Bart Endhoven has had a moment. Not sure what's happened here. Being passed.
Some kind of mechanical problem to his car.
Looks like he might have a massive
he's
slowdown
pulling
or
off.
something. He's stopping the car.
Didn't look like he had any damage. Only thing I could really think of is if he's running out of fuel for whatever reason. Then on the other hand, sorry, it has a lot of damage to his left front there.
Oh, gets tagged from behind.
And then he gets tagged from behind. That's really unfortunate. That's not Matteo's fault. Looked like he was doing what he was supposed to be predictable and stay away the GTP's line. Not sure who the GTP is, but he might be looking at a penalty in the near future. Robin, do you know?
He's got a pit lane.
Replay, yeah.
He's got a meatball flag at the moment.
Closing, yeah. Oh.
It's really bizarre.
How?
Go on
Yeah, it
board.
reminds me of the Maldonado incident, if you know what I'm referring to. Saving it at Spa and then turns the wheel into the wall. Let's see, we get it on board, yeah. He goes a little wide here into the left hand after a big bend. Really difficult corner to try and save out of. Yeah, he's struggling with the car throughout the entire race, and then no corrects, and then it's into the wall. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's he tries to do what he have to, and then unfortunately it's just not enough. Yeah, Duhamel not really having the race of his career neither. It's a lot of, that's the thing that's an recurring theme here at this race. It's difficult for a lot of drivers. We see even experienced drivers like Matthias having problems. One of them being with the GT3 car, but one of the other one was a solo incident. Yeah, it is a difficult track. I get why I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a really complex track. It definitely favours some cars more than others. I think the GTPs will struggle on it around here over a Holstein compared to perhaps the GT3s might have a little bit better life over a Holstein. It's really interesting. We've seen even some of we'd call our top drivers, our most experienced drivers, have had really unfortunate races here. We're only halfway through the event, 33 minutes in, 26 minutes still to go, and we've seen already several incidents around the track. And still at least another pit stop to go, and a lot of action still to follow. It's going to be really interesting to see who can hang on. If these GTPs are struggling with the tyres, like it looked like maybe Robin was a little bit, they've got a long way to go on them still.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the time that we are halfway through the race and we've already had as much action as you get in an entire Formula 1 season. It's incredible racing we get here at the Watkins Glen in the Interstore Racing IMSA series. So if this doesn't catch your attention for the upcoming races, I'm not sure what's going to be able to do. Avina here leading out the GTP M class. Actually, it's and we can talk about the M class here. Let's just look 2-3 cars down. Then see Joao Diaz. I was gonna say the only caddy out on track. That's not quite right. P7 Daniel Runke is also driving caddy. I believe didn't do too well in qualifying. Qualified last out of everyone, not too far behind everybody else because everybody was as close as they were. But he's now P6 actually. Must have just overtaken Carlos Punch. Yeah, he's into the pits. So the car starting to pit for the final time. Not sure if Carlos has any damage that he wants to have assessed before he goes out again. Daniel P6, Joao Diaz P4, so the caddy really shines in the AM class.
It looks like maybe it's
compared to how slow it should be.
A bit more predictable, I'd say, than the other cars. It's a little bit slow through the corner, a little bit slow to react through the corners, a bit understeery, but at least you know what it's going to do. I'd say the Acura is very oversteery. It's obviously quicker, as we've seen, but it maybe requires a bit more skill to get that absolute most out of it, whereas the caddy is very solid over a whole race distance, I'd say. Much more predictable maybe for drivers that are able to use it over a whole stint much more effectively.
Yeah, exactly. That's also my experience with the Cadillac. It's still a fast car and goes. It's an absolute missile on the straights, but through the corners, it's not the quickest of the turners, but it's quick enough. And because it is a bonus doing, as you also mentioned, it's a little bit more predictable to both catch and also turn in. Compared to something like the Acura, that's quite pointy towards the front end of the car, which is really nice if you like something like that. But you can also see someone like Matthias. Oh, someone else off there looks like an Acura. But yeah, just to finish the sentence, it's quite aggressive around the front. So if you turn in a little too much, you end up spinning, and you've seen it in turn one as well. Some of the Acura cars that goes off, touches the grass on the inside, hits the curb, hits the wall, hits the curb, goes across the track and hits another wall. And that's not only the front going, but also the front left rear, and that's gonna be race over for Hugendorn. But does he have a fast repair left?
I'm not sure, if I'm totally honest. We'll see.
That's at least a 2-minute tow.
Yeah, he's going to lose a lot of time with the tow. Already not on the lead lap, so it's going to be very painful.
Yeah, no driver trying to push hard and gain as much time as possible, but pushing a little bit too hard, and then Watkins bite back, as only a Watkins Glen track can bite back. Incredibly difficult track to get
right. Everybody. For those of you who aren't on the And Still Racing Discord server, which you can join in the link in the description, I have had to travel 2 hours away from my usual location today, so I've taken my computer with me and plugged it
There's a
into...
little bit of spin and do they make contact? Yeah, makes contact is Thailand.
right.
Makes contact with GT3 car is forced into the pit lane, it seems.
Both cars making an
like
emergency
that
pit
was
stop there.
intentional.
They were forced into the pit lane, but luckily they're in the pit window anyway. Let's take a replay. Oh, that's the
20 minutes
incorrect-
there, so it's probably not too bad of a time to go into the pit lane. We'll just have to carry a bit more fuel on than some of the others. But if you're lucky, he doesn't have to do another one. Might get a replay here of the incident. It's an Audi that pushes the
23 tagged round by the
Audi,
56, who's
right.
then run into
Yeah.
by the 74.
Yeah, the 114, 23 car. I think
It's
it's has nothing to do. Yeah,
It's a classic.
He's spun around, he holds the brakes, and then he's pushed once again, and yeah.
It's
goes
a
into the pit
classic.
lane.
It's a classic iRacing racing incident, isn't it? In the pit lane entry at Watkins.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, it's what you'd expect
So
around here. Danny
I'm
Huvendorf.
getting a little confused here. Actually, the 23 car number. Why is everybody a 114 car?
Yeah, I've just noticed that as well. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, that's not quite right.
Hide that away. And if the number is working on. There we go. Correct car number showing now. That's nice.
Yeah, lovely. That's as it should be. We have the 39 car here, and then we have the 244 car. So who is that? That's Davey. And Hector is a battle for P2 in the GGP AM class. 3 tenths, sorry, separating the two Acuras here. Let's come through the penultimate corner. Going on a little bit of a straight here. Final corner, push it. Gonna be a little difficult with the dirty air coming from the car in front, but a little straight here is gonna be able to make enough time to go for moving to the first corner. He does not, but it looks like he gets a nice exit. We'll have to manage GT3 traffic. That's gonna ruin his exit. Otherwise gonna look pretty well. A little difficult to judge the speed difference between these two cars. Doesn't look like we'll have any lead change, but we have a GT3 car that's gonna bunch these two cars up even more. Ooh, bit of a switch there from the 39 car.
Big moment on the curb. You can see he's been quicker
Let's just say
every lap recently. Half a second quicker lap 22, 7/10 of a second quicker on lap 23, another half a second lap 24, big
2.6.
gain on lap 25, 2.6 seconds, lost a little bit so far on lap 26, the current lap, but I think that's mainly because of the traffic. You can see how close he is. It's hard to believe he's lost any time really. Is he going to go for a move in here? Davey van der Backer defends into the corner, inside line. Kalaz can take the wider line and maybe get a run into the next corner as well. He's all over the back of him. We'd expect him to be passed soon. It looks like Van der Backer is struggling for grip in some of these corners. Maybe doesn't quite have the tyre temperature he needs. Overbeat reporting an incident on the radio, but we can't hear that very clearly anyway, so we'll carry on watching these cars. Best chance maybe here. Look how close he's already pulling out from position. Nearly squeezed into the wall. He might be on the radio to raise control about that. He's going to be clear going into turn one. Can he get a move finish under braking? He can, but Van der Backer got a better line through there, and he's going to get a run up the hill. How close is he? He's very close. He's going to get a great tow here all the way down to the bus stop. So maybe a tactful move here to let him through and then get a better run going down into the next section. There's contact there on the straight. Is he going to be able to go around the outside? It's really difficult here. Car on the inside can dominate the corner and manages to get a better exit as well. That's going to give him a bit of breathing room. Let's see if Van der Backer can stay close on this lap, but he's built up. It looks like a big gap compared to what we've seen, but it's only 3/10. So still Van der Backer is going to get the full advantage of the tow on this lap and maybe have the same run through the boot that we saw last time round. What did you think of that move, Ulo?
Yeah, lovely move, lovely defending from David van der Backer on the way up until the speed just became too much, and it was just an easy pass there for Colazo. Lovely racing from turn one all the way down to the bus stop. Great defending again from Colazo, having to go from the attacking position to the defending position, but not an easy overtaking opportunity into the bus stop. So really well driven by the two of them, and great. Ooh, a little bit of a spinner here in GTP.
That was
Does he hit the
Lemeroy.
wall? Yeah, it looked like Matteo Lemray in his white and yellow Ferrari spins out of the penultimate corner.
Really struggling.
But just attacks the wall.
Looks like he's got damage, and I think
at the left front. Yeah, that's a bent steering. You see how he's turning to the left, even though he's driving to the right. That's not how a car is supposed to handle. Yeah, but lovely racing in the TTP and class. Nice rough spins. Ooh, manages to keep it out of the barrier.
it's a really unfortunate place to be, though. Really hard to get back on the track safely. It's like he's going to manage it, watching his relative and using the grass racing.
Onto the racing line. And then manage cars that he can't even see because of the walls and the elevation difference. But managed to do it to perfection at the end. Doesn't interfere with too much racing for anyone else.
Leader in GTP is in the pit lane for his final pit stop. You're going to see a lot of them around now. 15-minute mark is when I'd expect to see those guys in the pit lane. And the backer doesn't look like he's got the pace to keep up with Hector Colazo, new to the league this round. It's his first time with ASR, first time round and on the podium. Hopefully we don't curse him, touch wood, but he should be in a great position to finish on the podium here in his first race and still racing. Comes into the pit lane with 15 minutes to go. Van der Vacker stays out. I'm surprised we're not seeing Van der Vacker in, potentially even for tyres, because it looks like he's massively struggling through some of the high-speed corners and even the slow-speed corners for rear-end tyre grip. You can see it looks like he's been really cautious here. Maybe thinking that maybe he's trying to one-stop it, but I don't think he pitted that. I don't think he pitted late enough in his first stint to do that. Daniel Reneke really close to Jean Diaz in front. Let's see if we can go and have a look at that.
No, I don't think it's going to be easy for anyone to do a one-stop. See Daniel Ricciardo on a Cadillac out on track. Currently goes into this third final corner. Based on the tarmac. Lovely penultimate corner, fast corner, goes in the curve. It's not crashed yet. It's the final corner. Is it now?
Oh no, this isn't a replay. Sorry, this is live.
This is live.
Half a second back from João Diaz in the Cadillac. So let's see. It looks like he's struggling in the slow speed.
Racing of Daniel keeping it on the black stuff. That's always lovely to see. Some of the other drivers would love to be in this position. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, but great racing from the Cadillac. It's nice to see an underdog out on track.
It was nice to see a bit of variation as well. So it's a bit disappointing when we have what is actually such a great mix of cars in iRacing for multi-class, and everybody goes for the same car because it's half a tenth quicker on average across the whole season. It's always a bit disappointing when we see that. So it's really nice to see Daniel Reneke sticking with the Cadillac like he loves. Myself and Andy Tatman ran the Cadillac in the IMSA Endurance season a couple of seasons ago and had some decent results. It's a car that I think a lot of us love the sound of and actually quite like to drive, but really, really different car to the Acura that he's chasing down now, that has a lot more front-end grip, different aero package completely on the two cars.
Yeah, but he's not chasing down an Acura. He's chasing down a Cadillac. He's chasing down Claude Diaz. It's a pure Caddy.
Caddy v Caddy.
Of course, if there's a Porsche GT3 get out the way so we can have our racing. Is going into the pit. Is that a car off?
Somebody off in the background? It looked like it was. I'm not sure who that was.
I'm either getting really tired of there was a car.
It looked like a car in the wall to me. I completely agree. I'm not sure who that was.
I was sleeping on Daniel when you switched to him, but I'm pretty sure that was a car. Let's see if he's going to be able to get a replay here really soon. I was
trying to find.
I'm sad to see Daniel go into the pit lane. Would have loved that Caddy versus Caddy. Even though we talk about how it's nice to have 4 different DTPs and then it's only 2 that shows up. 3 actually. It's only the Beamer that wins.
That was a nice move from Alex Ott to clear the GT3. A lovely camera shot as well.
Completely clean pass as well, but ballsy move nonetheless. He still has some catching to do. 10 seconds up to Rossi. That has a phenomenal race. He started P3. He's in P1 right now, of course, helped a little bit by Matthias hitting a GT3 car early on, but that's what you get sometimes. Sometimes you're just lucky and you take those. And he seems like a guy that's able to cope with the pressure that comes from being P1. It's never easy to be P1. Always have it in the back of your mind that.
Absolutely, you put an extra bit of pressure on yourself, don't you, to not put it in the wall, and often ends up with you putting it in the wall. So it's really great to see. Just like to take a quick moment to welcome our new sponsors and partners, ARS. That's AI Racing. IA. I can't even remember the name of it, but it's great. Join our Discord server. You can get full access to the race reports that they're generated. AI race reports, they generate a full race report of each of our IMSA series events, and that's going to be the first one out this season. There's some sample ones you can see on their website if you want to join. They are a great service and we're really looking forward to working with them in the future. Pimax as well has joined us recently, but we've started to integrate them more into the stream as well, and we'll be getting some clips to show in the future. But they're a great VR headset service. You can look through the affiliate link in the description. It's really helpful for us if you go through there, if you are looking at any of their hardware, so please do consider it. Okay, back to the racing. Hector Kalaz closed back down on Davy van der Akker. Not sure how he ended up behind him.
No, it's few pit stops, I guess, and some GT3 traffic. That also always goes a long way when it comes to lap time gain.
Spent 5 seconds longer in the box than van der Akker did, but he's closed right back up to him.
That's a lot of time, 5 seconds, especially when they're racing again.
Right on the outside of a GT3, both of them on a different side of the track. He's past van der Akker. Van der Akker's not going to give it up, but van der Akker's going to get held up by his own teammate in the GT3. I've been told these guys all sit in a call, GT3 and GTP, so that will be an interesting moment to be in that call, but this is a really nice close battle we've got. He's not going to give up.
Something that could get you muted from the voice chat.
Yeah, definitely. Look, interesting to see who owns the server. Somebody might be giving somebody else a timeout after that. Really close battling here. We've got
another teammate right behind him, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's Jean-Paul Seaman in the pro class.
In the same class.
Yeah, he's in pro. We saw him have that incident early on in the race, and he's climbing back up the order, currently P4 in pro after a couple of unfortunate incidents for other cars in his class. So making his way back up the order, that's really interesting to see. Really interesting to see what happens when he gets involved in this AND fight. If he tries to make his way through or tries to do what's best for his teammate.
But Colaso's not playing around here, already gaining a second since the bus stop on Colaso, and he's not going to be interested in Colaso catching up, and neither is he going to be interested in his teammates catching up, because you see how far the gap is. It's if he gets up in front and he's able to hold Colaso back, then
close moment there in the run off of turn 1
from the GT3 car. Perhaps it's too risky to go around the outside on turn 1, but they didn't touch, so I think everything is fine. Yeah, but nice pace from Colaso. He's defending. Why is he slow?
He's got a slowdown from turn 1. He'll have a slowdown from going too wide in turn 1, I believe. Yeah, got a full black flag in turn 1. So we're going to see it all again, except this time he's behind both of the DLR cars. And is the pro car, Jean-Paul Seaman, going to slow Kalaz down as much as he can to try and get his teammate, secure his teammate's P2 result in the race in 8 minutes ago?
Situation, and I was predicting him not to want to be in, because he is in the same class, of course not the same class, but the same car class, and he's entitled to do any racing that he wants to. Still a fight for the overall position. Doesn't really gain any of them points, but if he can help his team,
Yeah, but
he'll do what he has to do.
it's pride as well. You want to, as a pro car, you want to finish ahead of as many AIM cars as possible, and he's definitely not going to make this easy. We can see he's not letting him back for it, which obviously we wouldn't expect, but he's also definitely going to put up a bit of a fight, it looks like. Because, oh, and what's happening here? In the pit lane.
No, he's going into the pit lane, yeah, so he's going to have his final stop.
He's already pitted. This is his third pit stop. He got a black flag a few laps ago. He's over the incident limit. Hector Calaz is over the incident limit. That 1x and 4x that he got in turn 1, the contact and the off track have gotten him up to 19 incident points. So that's a drive-through penalty with 7 minutes to go. He was massively quicker. We saw him gaining over a second some laps on Van der Vacker, but right now he's got over 20 seconds back, 23 seconds as we come out of the pit lane, 11 seconds off Yao Diaz. Can he even get back on the podium with what I will imagine only be about 4 or 5 laps to go in this race?
Yeah, so if he isn't already angry from the GT3 giving him a slowdown, then he's gonna be absolutely furious on it from yeah, well, he's lost out on P2 and he's quite possibly also lost out of P3. Let's see how able he's going to be able to catch
11 seconds when he came out of the pit lane. He's already down to 9 seconds.
But it's still going to be tight. There's 6 minutes left, so it's quick math. That's about 4 or 5 laps left. That's a lot of time left to get in that amount of laps. But we could talk all we want. It's Colasso that has to do the driving on track, and he doesn't seem to be someone that doesn't want to push that to the minimums at least. Giving it for sliding a little bit out of the third final corner here, going into the penultimate. Lovely corner. Not that difficult to get wrong, but really nice to get right.
Yeah, Diaz did a 1:31.5 last time round.
Gap to Diaz. Nearing the...
Diaz was 8 seconds quicker last time, but that was because of the drive-through penalty, obviously. In the sectors that can be compared, he gained about 8/10 on him last lap, at least, you'd have to say. 8 seconds now of a gap. Look how quick he is through this first section. He's clearly got that Acura trimmed all the way out. You can see how skinny the wing is on that rear end of the car. He's going to see, let's see what he can gain in this lap. We'll go to the sectors display and see if we can go back instead of the lap time display to see what he's gaining. There you go. 3/10 he's gained on Diaz in sector 1 and another 3.5 in sector 2. So he's not giving up yet, but 4 minutes to go in this race is going to be a big ask to try and close down 8 seconds and get back on the podium.
Yeah, Robin doing mill pitting, letting Daniel Rooney get past him. Goes out of the pit, so looked like he might also have had an incident limit exertion.
Yeah, 17x for Robin Duhamel, so you'd expect that's a drive-through penalty. Oh, moment there for Calaz. Big slide, but look at that, way quicker than the driver in front so far this lap. Let's see what the difference is when they cross the line. A 1:30.7 for Yao Diaz. Watkins. Calaz going to do this lap, and that'll give us a good estimate as to whether we think he can gain. It's a purple lap time at 28.7, fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and if we were wondering if he managed to get that podium position back, then we have our answer.
He wants that podium on debut. We talked about it earlier on, didn't we? And we may have cursed him, but he's not giving up yet. Came down 2 seconds last lap, roughly, the gap. Let's see what it actually was. We're going to see the lap time tracker. Last lap, 2 seconds quicker than Diaz. He needs to keep replicating that for the next 2, maybe 3 laps, depending on when they take the flag. And he might be able to gain the position. It's going to be very traffic dependent for Diaz as well.
Yeah, I think he's pretty close to qualifying pace for Diaz here. So he's really on it. Almost 2 seconds in one lap. That's almost what he has to do.
Really pushing. That was like that big slide that we saw from him as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can only think about how much time he could have had otherwise. doesn't look like he's going to be having any slide this time around.
Already taken 1.5 seconds out so far this lap, nearly 2 seconds.
Yeah.
See what it is when he gets to
still
the line.
a 5-second gap that he has to Crowd Diaz. And one thing is, of course, catching, another thing is passing, but I think if you're almost 2 seconds faster than the car up ahead, then passing is perhaps not going to be the base of your issues.
1.9 seconds taken out of Diaz once again. He's closing him down 5.4 seconds. The gap is now. It's going to really depend on when the checkered flag comes. We've not spoken about Pro Class much since the incidents early on in the race, but a really well driven race from Balazs Tarowski in P1. He's driven an incredible race. He's incident free and essentially only 3 incident points, no major incidents like we've seen for a lot of other cars in this class, and he's got a 14-second lead at the moment. So big congratulations to him for running such a solid race. Whatever happens from here will happen, but a great race run so far from him. Close battle for the lead in GT3 Pro as well, but it's not going to be as exciting, I imagine, as this battle that we're seeing right now. 2 seconds taken out on lap 36, 2 seconds taken out on lap 39. Let's see what the times are so far this lap. 1.8 seconds taken out of Diaz in Sector 2. Diaz clawed back a little bit of that time, but only half a tenth of a second in Sector 3. That's negated by the Sector 1 gains from Kalaz. So he's gained 1.8 seconds in just the 3 sectors with 2 sectors to go. Left to register, 5 sectors in this lap. What can he do? In the final corner, getting caught by the traffic, but Diaz has got the traffic worse in front. Another 7 tenths. It's going to be 2.5 seconds at least this lap. Look how close he is now. This could be the move for position on Diaz if he can time this right.
Well, there must be final lap. This one, isn't it?
Either this lap or next lap.
Laps, then he is. Then he's on. Looks like a camera or something. I was gonna say no. That was 12 years. That was 12 years off the track in turn 1.
And he's passed.
So he's just done it. So he's back on the podium. He's pushing from the past 4 laps has paid off. Phenomenal racing from Colasso, pushing that accurate to the absolute limits, getting a purple lap time, taking chunks of time out of Juaudinos, and as much as we can congratulate not only Tarasi here winning the race and Alex Ott getting into P2, lovely race by the P2 and P3.
Checkered flag has been taken for the podium sitters in Pro Class, but this is the best battle we've got right now. Daniel Morphy chasing down Kasper Ummerlund for P1 in GT3 Pro. He's gained on him every lap recently, about half a second. He's within that range where he could get it if he can make a daring move, or there's unfortunate traffic for Ummerlund ahead, but looks like Ummerlund is going to win the race unless he gets caught up behind the Pro. Oh, in fact, no, he's going to Pro in between himself and Ummerlund. So it looks like Ummerlund is going to win this race. A bit of revenge for last race. Really unfortunate event for him. We've got winners in 3 classes. We're going to get a winner in the 4th class today. That's going to be Kasper Ummerlund. Daniel Morphy comes home in P2. Great race from both of them. The closest battles were in GT3 Pro and GTP Am. We had great battles throughout the whole race. Congratulations to all of our winners. Balas in GTP Pro, Aaron Avier in GTP Am. GT3 Pro, it was Kasper Ummerlund, followed closely by Daniel Morphy, but wasn't able to get the win in the end. And in GT3 Am, an absolutely dominant win from Ignis, 40 seconds clear of the next Am car, so incredible drive from him.
Yeah, we talked about Colasso, but 38 seconds in an hour, that's a lap time and a half. It really is phenomenal racing, yeah, all the way. Big congratulations, and 20 seconds as well from Dojevad down to both. Also a big chunk of time. But yeah, you already said it. It was a great race, really. Had everything, had a lot of action for the entire 60 minutes. So lived up to the name. Lived up to the name of Watkins Glen. A lot of incidents, some caused by other drivers, some solo incidents, and that's what you get, and that's what we said in qualifying. Just to repeat ourselves for like a 3rd or 4th time, it's not about the race pace. It's about keeping the car on track and keeping it out of the walls. Because hitting the walls is it's not something that's gonna give you lap time. Of course not. Yeah, we can take the results once again. GTP Pro, as we see it on screen, it's Tsurasi. Lovely win from him. Clean driving. Then Alexander Eloy Cabanero. Then it's Juan Paul Seaman. Had a little bit of a struggle, but still manages to clinch out P4. Lovely racing. Sis Vasi. Juancho Ovale P6, even though he had a handful of spins, at least 5. Hogendorn, then Matthias Weiten, 26 laps down, and then Albert Preem, two Dutch racers who has a race they probably like to forget for multiple reasons. Then we move on to the GTP AM class. It's Avina, 1.3 seconds in front of Vaca. Then it's Colasso, 20 seconds behind. Joao Diaz, almost getting the podium there at the end, but had some kind of incident we didn't rewatch in turn 1 and was unfortunate to throw it away in the end. Then it's Kevin Hill, Daniel Ronikem, ending of the caddy drivers. Rubin Duhamel, unfortunate race for him. Carlos Ponke, Quintin Fadonk, and then Marcel Roof. Marcel Roof had a black flag, didn't he?
Several instances of Marcel Roof throughout the race, but great battle at the front as well. GT3 then. GT3 Pro, won, of course, by Kasper Ummerlin. Get the right result on screen. There we go. Followed closely by Daniel Morphy. Within a second towards the end, was gaining massively, another couple of laps, and it looks like he might have even had him. Matteo Ubertali, Absolute Motorsports with Asalif, coming home in P3 and P4. It's a great run from them. Adam Jarvis coming home in P5 for Vertex Motorsports. Cohen Gertis and lap down, followed by Stefan Vestra, Rick Van Overbeek, Lawrence Stryland, and Paolo Antinori following in P10. And followed closely behind by Samir Ashad, also 1 lap down. Tom Carroll, 1 lap down. Erin Eldin Zender Rink, followed by Alvaro Valsarase, sorry for my terrible pronunciation, and then followed by Aaron Balin in P15, but 9 laps. Or not, we'll have confirmation from race control. GT3 AM, as we said, Ignis with a dominant win of 37 seconds. Killian Boss not too far behind Glen Van surname that I'm not even going to try and pronounce. Killian Boss following closely behind him. Anthony Kotara also close behind him, only a second between those two, so still some great battling further down. And then a couple of drivers out of position towards the end of the field that didn't have a very good run and caught up in a few. Then we had Jessica Perry and Costa, who neither of which started the.
I love the team name for Costa.
Risky Runners Racing.
Risky Runners Racing.
It's a proper NASCAR team name, that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a bit more British, isn't it? Risky Runner Racing. All right. I don't know if you have any interviews today.
Race control scoring has ended.
Through the
I'm not seeing anyone in the chat.
On
So
the ASR Racing Discord channel. If you haven't joined it, make sure to do that. Link in the description.
yeah, can't see anybody in the channel to join for interviews. So we'll leave it there. Thanks for joining, everybody. I believe the stream went live on the wrong link, so apologies for that. We'll make sure that's fixed for next time and try and work out what happened there. Still trying to work out some technical issues, having taken over the streaming from Paolo, who of course did all of that. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me, Ule. I'm hoping we're going to get you for a couple more rounds. It was great to have you and have that driver input as well that you've had in obviously racing with us in past seasons.
Yeah, it was lovely to be here. Thank you for having me. I'll try to make sure to clear my schedule, but of course, yeah.
All right.
Lovely to be here. Always lovely watching an ASR race.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the next race. It's a break week next season to allow people that want to participate in the Road America 500 to do so. And then we will be back the following Thursday for a race at Long Beach, which ties into the real life IMSA race at Long Beach that weekend. We've got a triple header then going into Imola and Silverstone, and then followed by 2 break weeks to allow people to practice and participate in the Nürburgring 24. And then we're going to finish off the season with a race at Monza, followed by a race at Daytona on the 30th of May. So make sure there's still spots open. If you know somebody that wants to join, or you want to join yourself, so please feel free to head to the Discord and open a ticket. We'll assist you in purchasing a entry ticket. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. This was Anti-Stall Racing Season 5 of IMSA Round 3, and we hope to see you again soon.